Hello, I wanted to do a disaster preparedness video for large animal owners, hoping that I can give you some valuable tips to my horse friends and to post on Solano CART's website for large animal owners on how to set up a shelter-in-place plan on your property. So I'm starting back in where my 3 horses are housed. So as you can see, we have stalls for them. They like their stalls. They hang out in their stalls, and it opens up into, they're not locked in. It opens into a really big paddock in the back that is not horrible in terms of fire danger. It's a dirt lot. Luckily the field behind us has been mowed and plowed under, so that's nice and dirt right there. But we do have a lot of trees right there. We have this barn right next to the horses with 2 humongous trees on either side. And they have their stalls, which are wood. And if we were to have one of those crazy windy fire episodes, this could cause a problem. And so I wanted to come up with a different shelter-in-place plan for my animals for a couple of reasons. So I set it up today, and I'm going to walk through it and explain to you why I did what I did. So hopefully these tips might help you as you set up your shelter-in-place plan. So first of all, I do want to point out a couple of things. First of all, I do have an emergency go box for my horses. So it lives right here in front of the stalls, right by the gate, by the halters and lead ropes. And it has all the feeding instructions. It has my evacuation plan. It has pictures of me with my animals. It has their supplements. It has everything that our horses need is in this emergency go box. And I would grab that and take it with me. Or if I'm leaving them, I will leave it in a very visible place so that other people can find it. So one of the reasons I decided to set up a different shelter-in-place plan is I wanted to point out is there's my house. My horses are housed at the back of our property. So I showed you that there's nothing behind us except fields. So our horses are not visible from the road. So people wouldn't know the horses are back here unless they knew us and knew that we had horses. So that is actually the primary reason why I'm setting up a different shelter-in-place plan for our horses. So let me show you what we did. So I moved up to the front of our property. Our new shelter-in-place plan is up in the front of our property. So we're going to walk out here. So as you can see, we have a lot of trees in our neighborhood. Everybody in our neighborhood does a really good job of keeping everything mowed down. So, you know, people are pretty good about that, but we do have a lot of trees. Our area does not have a lot of ins and outs to get out of the area. I live off of Peaceful Glen Road in Vacaville, so you know there's only a couple of outlets, so we're kind of tucked back in here near English Hills, which is an area that has, you know, moderate fire risk. So in the front of our property is a big almost 2-acre pasture, and I decided to do our shelter-in-place plan up here because it's in the front of the property. So on red flag warning days, or if the weather just is looking testy and it just looks like it might be a bad day for fires, I probably will move our horses from the back to the front and turn them loose in this big mowed down 2-acre pasture. There's shade trees, the grass is mowed really short. It's mostly weeds anyway. It's not a lot of grass. It's mostly weeds, mostly star thistle. But I just got it mowed down. This side is mostly dirt. You can see there's a lot of dirt here. So this is a decent area for the horses to stay during a fire. And I decided, but I had a couple of things that I had to take into consideration. First of all, I have wood posts for my fencing. So wood posts can burn. So therefore, if the posts catch on fire, it could burn our fencing down and the horses could be loose in the neighborhood. So I couldn't just turn them loose in the front. I had to do something else in case the fencing burns. And that's why I set up these 3 pipe corrals for each of the horses, and they each have their own water, and it's in the middle of the pasture. So even if there's a pretty good firestorm going on, this is a pretty good area. It's a pretty good distance from trees. The road there is a chip seal, so you know that's not going to burn. The fences might burn, but I put the pipe corrals far enough away from them that they should be okay, and that way we can contain the horses if we need to. If the fire is really bad and they need to be in a safe spot, we can throw them in here and they probably will be okay. Now, another reason I put them up front is they're visible. So the road is right in front. The main road is right, let me zoom in, right there. And so any first responders, if Solano CART was evacuating animals, if animal control was out here patrolling, they would see the horses. They wouldn't, if my horses are in the back, there's no way they can see them. So they're visible. There's a big gate right here, so there's easy access. If somebody needed to pull them out, they could pull them out right there. But if they were safe and could be sheltered in place, they could either be turned loose into the big pasture so that they can find shade and all of that, or they can be locked up in these smaller pipe corrals. Now, one of the good reasons to separate your animals, especially if you have horses, for shelter in place, is that if other people are taking care of your animals, they need to know how much your horses are eating and drinking. That's very important to their health. So by separating them, they will know how much your horses are eating and drinking, because they won't be sharing their food or water with other animals. So this is especially important for me, for my horse Butterscotch, because she is a very high risk colic horse. She has ulcers, she has high anxiety, she doesn't eat when she's stressed out. So if she's housed with her friends, they're going to eat all of her food and people wouldn't know that she's not eating or she's not drinking. So this will be a pretty important thing for Butterscotch. So that's my setup. This is, I realize there's no shade, but when push comes to shove, right now I just don't have the money to buy a metal shades, which is what you would need. I don't want to do wood ones because those can catch on fire. It needs to be metal. And I just don't have the funds to do that out here right now. So the idea is let them loose in here so they can find the shade. But if we need to lock them up, we can. And as long as they're hydrated, they should be all right. We can see that I have a hose running all the way up to the house so we can fill up the waters. I also have portable waters that I can put down here if the well burns up, but they're right next to the road, so if firefighters come by, firefighters are pretty good about if they see animals, they will often top off their waters with the fire hoses. So having them nice and visible in the front should really help be able to make sure that the animals are well cared for and that people know that they're here. So I hope these tips are helpful, and hopefully we will not have to use it this season.